I think these deaths because of heat, specifically heat, these are unprecedented. It's not the first time Hajj being held in extreme heat. Hajj has been held previously for centuries in extreme heat, but this is the first time we have documented this high number of deaths because specifically because of heat. And this is why it is really staggering because people have died, pilgrims have died because of a stampede, because of fire in the tents, which are used by the pilgrims. But because of heat stroke, this high number of death toll has happened for the first time.
Can you describe for us what conditions led to their deaths? What did the pilgrims have to endure this year in this extreme heat? And what did they have to do to try and get over that heat?
So you need to understand that the Hajj, the central ritual of Hajj is the Waquf of Arafat, which is that the pilgrims go to this plain of Arafat and then they stay there for the whole day and they are praying and prostrating. And that day, the whole day, they have to virtually be outside. They cannot, they can go into the tents, but the main thing is to pray as much as you can outside in that plain, the plain of Arafat. And that day puts a lot of toll on the pilgrims. And then the next day, we have the stoning of the Saturn. And that is also another physically very demanding day. So what happened that on both of these 2 days, the temperatures rose to nearly 50 degrees centigrade. So this created a much heavier toll on these pilgrims. And then we had those pilgrims which were unregistered, so they couldn't use shelters. They didn't have any access to those cooling facilities or to hydration facilities. So they, after remaining in the plain, praying, prostrating all day long in that excessive heat, they then cannot go to any shelter. So for them, it was too much. And this is why the death toll has been highest within these unregistered pilgrims. But of course, other pilgrims, elderly and women, and those who had some sort of a condition, health condition, they all suffered.
Thanks for explaining it to us. You really give us paint a picture of what the conditions have been like. Tourism companies have come under fire. What are Egyptian officials who are investigating the crisis accusing these firms of? You talked about unregistered pilgrims.
So, the thing is that when the Hajj period starts, the Hajj rituals, they happen in the city of Mecca. So the Saudi authorities, they bar anyone from entering Mecca. And if you enter Mecca without the permission or without a permit, then you are basically an unregistered pilgrim. I think what happened that the last year, some travel agents, some travel companies, they managed to smuggle in, if we can say, some of these pilgrims, and then they were basically charging them not the usual Hajj fees, which is quite a lot of money. So they managed to do this, you can say, unregistered but cheap Hajj. And then this thing was done again this year, but on a much higher number. But because of the high temperatures, this was too much for many of these pilgrims, and many of these unregistered pilgrims were actually much older. I have seen pilgrims who were 70 plus. So this was a collective calamity that was building up, and then eventually it unfolded on the Hajj day.
And some scientists are saying that climate change will make it increasingly difficult to host such massive events. How is this impacting Saudi Arabia's reputation and also the way that they manage this annual pilgrimage? What has its response been so far?
So for Saudi Arabia, Hajj is an event of extreme prestige. They take prestige in serving the pilgrims, and it is also a test for their governance. And we know that there have been incidents during Hajj, but over the years, the Saudi government has improved its management. But this year, when I think that all the estimates were there, that there would be higher temperatures, and then the Saudi government itself understood, and it had taken measures that there were a lot of unregistered pilgrims coming in. I think that there is some, you can say that on part of Saudi government, there was a little bit of mismanagement, because when they understood that these unregistered pilgrims have managed to enter the Hajj sites, then not catering for them, or perhaps not taking precautionary measures, would have eventually resulted into what we are seeing. And in a manner, I think that this puts some question marks on not only the Saudi government's management of Hajj and its rituals, but also the new tourist visa, which is being launched by Saudi Arabia, which has made actually far more easier for these unregistered pilgrims to come into Saudi Arabia, stay there, stay under the radar, and then trickle into Makkah and do this Hajj. So it's a challenge, if I can say, for the next year also, because what has happened this year, people will try the next year as well.
Really, it has been a tragedy this year. Umar Karim, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate your time and explaining that to us.
Thank you.